Have you ever felt like you wanted help with your money, but you didn't know who to turn to? And maybe you're not even sure you can afford help because obviously money is the very thing that you need help with. You've probably heard terms before like financial coach, financial planner, financial advisor, and probably even thought,
wait, aren't those all the same thing?
in this video, I'm going to break down 5 different types of financial professionals who help individuals with their finances and money in different ways. My hope is that it helps you figure out which one is right for you if you're considering or ever consider in the future working with a professional to help with your money. I truly believe that getting support with your money should not feel confusing or overwhelming. Instead, you should feel empowered and confident in knowing where to go when you need help. If you're new here, hello and welcome. My name is Lissa Lumutenga. I'm a personal finance expert and certified financial planner on a mission to make financial knowledge accessible, approachable, and rooted in confidence. I want you to build wealth, but I also want you to build confidence when it comes to money. Before we dive in, I have 2 quick disclaimers. Number 1. A lot of financial professionals, they wear multiple hats. So you might find that some financial advisors also are financial planners. Some financial coaches also dive into mindset and therapeutic work. Some people are credentialed and licensed, and some aren't. So I'm gonna try to define each role and professional as clearly as possible, but I want you to know that you should always feel empowered to ask questions. Before you give somebody your money and hire them to work with you, ask about their services, their certifications, their licenses, their experience, and their overall approach before you hire them. It's definitely not rude at all. It's very standard practice, and it would be smart of you to do so before you choose to work with someone. Second disclaimer is this video is based on US standards. I live in the United States, so throughout the video, I refer to some US specific agencies and regulatory bodies. Now, while I think that general definitions apply more broadly, even if you live somewhere else in a different country, just know that the regulations and professional titles might have some variation depending on where you live. So always check to make sure you know how it works where you live. The first type of financial professional is a financial coach. Financial coaches help you build better money habits, and a lot of times it has to do with building foundational money skills. So this can include things like managing your spending, your expenses. It can be helping you set up a budget. It could be setting savings goals, creating debt payoff strategies, figuring out how to improve your credit, and clarifying short-term and long-term financial goals. Financial coaches' focus is primarily on your behavior and your mindset, and the ones who are smart steer clear from financial products or financial investments unless they also offer those services and have the proper licensing. Financial coaches are best for beginners to money and personal finance, for people with inconsistent cash flow, or maybe you have consistent cash flow, but you just need support in understanding the basics of how to manage your money. It's also good for anyone who simply needs clarity or structure or accountability when it comes to their money habits and money systems. What do financial coaches cost? So you're gonna see most of these on the list that I have. There is a wide range depending on a lot of factors, depending on the financial coach's experience, their structure of their business and their location, and also if they also have other services and act as other roles as well that we're gonna talk about later on in the video. In some instances, you might be able to find free coaching through a nonprofit or other community programs, where paid coaching can often range from $50 to $200 an hour. Now, sometimes people obviously have financial issues and need coaching that require more than one meeting, and maybe they don't want to pay per hour. In that case, there are financial coaches who offer packages as well as subscriptions that can typically range from a few $100s to even over $1,000, depending on the length of the time you're going to work with them and also the depth of what they can offer you. Let's talk about pros and cons with financial coaches. So on the benefits, I think that financial coaches can be really, really great to build foundational financial skills. Maybe you were never exposed to financial literacy growing up. Maybe you did learn financial literacy, but you can't seem to figure out why you can't stick to a budget, or you're not sure how to navigate getting out of debt. Financial coaches are also great with helping you deal with financial emotions, things like shame or fear or avoidance. And another big benefit is oftentimes they're more affordable than other types of financial professionals that we're going to get to later on in the video. And last thing on financial coaches is, in many ways, you can think of a financial coach like a coach for a sport. They're supportive, they teach you things, they can look at your situation and help guide you, and many great coaches do it judgment-free. It doesn't matter where you're at with your finances, what they want to do is help you, so you don't have to worry about feeling embarrassed when you work with a financial coach. Now, let's talk about the downsides of financial coaching. If you choose to work with a financial coach, just be very, very aware and clear that a financial coach on their own is not typically licensed to offer any type of what we call financial advice in the financial world. So when you're talking about investment advice, tax advice, or advice about specific financial products, different types of accounts, insurance, etc., financial coaches typically are not licensed to tell you what to do, what to buy, where to put your money. Technically, anything that's considered financial advice, official financial advice, is regulated. So financial coaches typically stay in the lane of more educational help and also helping with your money behaviors rather than prescriptive advice. Another downside with financial coaches is, in general, financial coaching as an industry is unregulated. So that's why people calling themselves financial coaches can vary so widely in what they offer and what they're able to help with. Qualifications and certifications are often inconsistent and range from easy to get to being offered by credible organizations and companies. So if you think you need a financial coach, here are a couple of extra tips to help you with your search. First, you can search directories from trusted organizations. I might be a little biased, but the AFCPE is where I got my accredited financial counselor certification. So if you end up finding someone who has the AFC certification, you know that they went through some level of training, structured learning, as well as getting experience and education around so many financial foundational areas. Another tip is, if you find a financial coach that you're curious about working with, look for their website or look for whether or not they have a social media presence. Now, they don't need to have a social media presence, but if they do, it allows you to see a little bit of their style and their approach. There are so many different approaches to financial coaching. You want to make sure that this person fits what you're looking for. And last tip is, don't be afraid to ask about someone's credentials, their experience, and their approach. And to be clear, you don't need to have a financial coach that has a formal certification. There are tons of people out there who know a lot and can offer a lot of valuable guidance, but just know that it is your responsibility to vet who you work with, and vetting someone is one way to manage your own risk. Let's move on to the second type of financial professional on the list, a financial planner. What do financial planners do? Well, they help you create a comprehensive plan for your financial life. Often, this means they can help you with retirement planning, general investing, budgeting and managing your money, tax planning, insurance planning, estate planning, and other areas. That's a lot, so let me summarize that for you. At a basic level is, a financial planner helps you connect all the dots in your life, in your financial life, and connects it to what you want in your overall life. If you feel like your money and your finances are this whole jigsaw puzzle, you have money in that retirement account, money here, you make this much from this job, you want to start a business. If you feel like that's all over the place and you're not sure you are properly working towards your bigger goals, a financial planner can work with you, take in all that information, get to know you, and can help you see the full picture and help guide you in the right direction. Here's somewhat of an analogy. It doesn't work perfectly, but sometimes you can think of a financial planner almost like a primary care doctor or a general practitioner. It's someone who can check your overall financial health and help guide your long-term plan. They might not be experts in all areas, but could specialize in certain areas, but generally they know enough about a wide range of topics that if needed, they can refer you to a specialist, like a tax professional or an estate attorney if you're looking to draft up some estate planning documents. Now here's where things get a little confusing, and this is going to kind of be a theme for the next few professions on the list. But the terms financial planner and financial advisor are often used interchangeably. A lot of times they do similar functions, but they're not exactly the same all the time. And to make it even more confusing, I'm not even going to get into it because I don't fully know the history, but sometimes you'll see financial advisor spelled with an O, advisor, and advisor with an E. Beyond the scope of this video, but just another example to show you that this stuff is confusing. Even people in the industry sometimes don't know why it's so complicated and complex. So if all of this is new to you, don't worry. It's very confusing. I want to acknowledge that. So the thing is, a lot of financial planners are also considered advisors, which we'll talk about later on in the list. But at the end of the day, not all financial advisors are financial planners, and there are times when financial planners aren't financial advisors. If I had to summarize one way to sort of look at a financial planner, besides the doctor analogy, is that they often have a more holistic, big picture approach. They want to guide you in the right direction in their areas of expertise while understanding your overall picture. So according to FINRA, the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority, who oversees broker-dealers and protects investors, according to FINRA, financial planners can come from all sorts of backgrounds. Some are considered investment advisors, brokers, insurance agents, or accountants. Other financial planners might not have any credentials at all. And like I mentioned earlier, some financial planners will create a full comprehensive plan about your entire financial life, whereas other planners only focus on specific areas. Now, as FINRA describes it, they say that the financial planning profession does not have a dedicated regulator. So planners, people who call themselves financial planners, are typically regulated based on the services they provide. In this sense, my doctor analogy won't work here because when we're talking about doctors and specialist doctors, they're all regulated, right, by the medical board. But for financial planners, the way FINRA describes it is financial planners themselves aren't regulated, but because most of them perform other functions within the financial world, those functions are regulated and financial planners have to abide by those rules. For example, some financial planners are also CPAs, certified public accountants, and CPAs are regulated by state boards. Financial planners who also offer investment advice, such as telling you where to put your money, where to invest it, can potentially be regulated by the SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commission, or state securities regulators. None of this is stuff you have to remember or memorize. I just want to point it out to you so that you can continue to see that this stuff can be confusing, and at the end of the day, there are paths to find the person you need to help you if you're looking for professional help. So as an example, I am a certified financial planner. That is a certification that I have achieved and earned, and what it means is I entered the program to become a certified financial planner from the CFP board. I've done hours of experience as a financial professional. I've taken structured, legit educational courses, graduate level courses on financial planning. I've taken exams, and most importantly, I have to follow strict ethical guidelines in order to continue calling myself a CFP professional. So when it comes to financial planners, this is not to say that you have to work with someone with a CFP certification. There are a lot of financial planners out there who don't have the certification. Maybe they have tons of experience or they've been in the game before needing a CFP certification was such a gold standard. What I simply want you to know and learn is that you should do your due diligence on a professional if you're planning to work with them. Ask them what their licenses are, what their certifications are. If they don't have any, that's fine. Ask them what their experience is. Ask them how they feel they'll be able to help you. So financial planners are best for anyone looking for a personalized financial roadmap, people approaching big life transitions. Maybe you want to make a big career change. You want to buy a home. You want to plan for a family, and you want to make sure you're making all the right financial decisions around it. That could be a great time to work with a financial planner. Financial planners are also great for people who simply want to align their money and their day-to-day financial decisions with longer-term life goals. This is something I never understood before I was in the financial field, because people would ask me what my goal was, and I'm like, to make more money, to build wealth. When financial planners truly want to dig into, what do you want in life? Do you want to travel more? Do you want to retire early? Do you want to have kids and a family? Do you want to live in a big house or a small house? They want to know your goals and what your wants and needs are in life so that they can help you financially plan for it. So what does it cost to work with a financial planner? Similar to coaches, the range can be huge. I see a lot of new business models emerging every day. And now financial planners aren't just for the rich and wealthy people with money to invest. But for the sake of giving you some illustrative examples, let's talk through a couple of common fee structures. Some financial planners offer flat fee plans, typically anywhere from $1,000 to $3,000, $5,000 or more. And it really depends on what your financial life looks like. Planners will charge higher fees to reflect the complexity of your situation, as well as to reflect their experience. So for example, let's say you have a very basic financial life. You work one job, you file a very simple tax return, and you maybe have a retirement account, but you don't have any other dependents or any other cash flowing assets at the moment. That type of financial plan might be a lot easier for a planner to put together because there's not a lot of nuance in it. But then again, it depends on what your goals are. If you want to take a sabbatical, start a business, if you come into an inheritance, if you have kids and you want to make sure that they're taken care of if something were to happen to you, there becomes more elements that are involved in your finances. So that's why there can be such a huge range with what a flat fee financial plan costs. Some financial planners also offer hourly services. Again, this can range, but sometimes you might be looking at $150 to $400 an hour. Could be less, could be more. It depends on the planner and how their business is structured. So hourly financial planning can be a good idea if you need guidance in like one area, right? Maybe you got a new job, it has all these stock options and retirement accounts, things available to you, and you're just not sure how to navigate it, and you're not sure how to make all the right decisions according to your longer term goals. This could be a case where you work with a planner, not for a comprehensive plan, but because you want some consultation, you want to meet a couple times and figure out exactly how to navigate this new job and these new benefits that you have. Some financial planners have monthly retainers, meaning they keep you on an ongoing basis and you pay a specific amount per month. Now, this is one that's hard to estimate because it could be a few $100s to a few $1,000s a month, depending on the complexity of a person's financial situation and how much time they work with their planner. Think about super wealthy, rich people who pretty much have a dedicated planner working for them. They might have a higher monthly retainer. And finally, another fee structure is what you know as AUM, or assets under management, which is taking a percentage of the investments that a financial planner or advisor manages for you. This type of fee structure is when you have money, you want help from a planner or a financial advisor, and you don't want to invest your own money, you want them to manage it for you. So that's how they calculate what you pay them for assets under management. So different financial planners have different models. You're just going to have to learn from them directly what services they offer and for what pricing, because it can really range based on how they set up their business. Let's talk about pros and cons. So some benefits when it comes to financial planning is oftentimes that you will get a holistic view and a very personalized plan for you. It's hard to watch a ton of YouTube videos and TikTok content from experts and knowing exactly how to make it apply to your situation. When you work with a financial professional whose goal is to look at your whole life and help you come up with a holistic plan, you're gonna know that it is tied directly to your situation and your goals. Another benefit is that a lot of financial planners, for example, CFP professionals, act as fiduciaries. Acting as a fiduciary in this sense means that they act in your best interest if you are their client at all times. Now you might be like, why wouldn't a professional act in my best interest if I'm paying them money? Well, the truth is there are areas in the financial world where some financial professionals will offer you products and accounts that benefit them or their business. And even though it might be okay for you, there could be other options out there. We'll talk more about that in the next section on financial advisors. Another benefit is in relation to that holistic planning. Oftentimes, financial planners will help you with cash flow projections, modeling out your retirement, and also planning for different scenarios. What this can do for someone is not only help them get on the right path with their finances, but also maybe ease any fears and give them peace of mind if they can see, all right, what would it look like if I retired at this age? Or what would it look like if I decided to leave my job tomorrow, take a break for 5 years, and then go back into the workforce? There's different ways to model that financially, and that can be a benefit to working with a planner. Some of the downsides of working with a financial planner. Oftentimes, it's the cost. The cost can be a barrier for beginners, and especially those who have not yet quite built up their net worth or their investments. In fact, another downside is that some planners only serve high net worth clients and won't even consider some clients if they don't have a certain amount of a net worth. Another downside is financial planners will rarely be able to help you with every single aspect of your financial life. There are some instances where you will still need another professional, for example, a tax professional or financial coaching if that's something you need on the behavioral side. If you are interested in looking for a financial planner, you can look up someone who has a CFP credential if you go to letsmakeaplan.org. You can also simply find someone and ask how they charge, understand what their fee structure is before you commit to them. And of course, like I said with a financial coach, find them online. Make sure that their specialty, their focus, their approach aligns with you and your stage of life. All right, that might have been long, so let's move on to the third financial professional on the list, which is a financial advisor. What does a financial advisor do? According to NerdWallet, a financial advisor is often used as a catch-all term that can refer to a variety of professionals, including investment managers, consultants, and even financial planners, what we just talked about. Essentially, a financial advisor helps you manage your finances or directly manages your finances for you. So this is why it gets confusing, right? I mentioned earlier, a lot of financial planners are also considered advisors, but not all the time. On the flip side, you can have a financial advisor who is a financial planner, but that's definitely not always the case. At a very basic level, financial advisors primarily help with advising you what to do with your money, where to put it. And that's why it has a lot of overlap with investing. So if you think of your financial planner kind of like that primary care doctor who looks at your holistic health, you can sometimes think of your financial advisor as more of a specialist. You go to them for specific expertise. Some financial advisors work hands-on to manage your investment portfolio. They'll invest your money for you, you leave it to them, and then you pay them a fee. Other financial advisors actually work on commission and they sell financial products, whether that's insurance or annuities or other investment products. Some financial advisors do a mix of both. This is why, one, it's complicated, so don't worry if you don't understand it the first time. But two, it's why it's important to ask a lot of questions, especially how they're compensated and what services a financial advisor provides. So questions that you can ask is, are you a fiduciary? What licenses do you hold? Are you registered with FINRA or the SEC or with your state? At the end of the day, you deserve to know who's managing your money and how. So financial advisors, this one is hard to describe because, like I said, they encompass a lot of different types of financial professionals all in one term. So I'll focus a little bit more on the financial advisors who manage investments because that's what people typically think about. So financial advisors are best for people with investable assets. So you have money that you want to invest, specifically people who want hands-on portfolio management, meaning you don't want to manage your investments yourself, you'd rather have a professional help you out. Financial advisors are also great for people who are preparing for retirement or any other long-term goals that require investing. This is where it gets a little blurry of, do I need a financial advisor or a planner? In which case, research both and talk to them to see if what you're looking for matches what they can offer. What do financial advisors cost? Well, I mentioned this earlier when we were talking about financial planners. If it's an advisor who manages assets, investments, many of them charge AUM, which is an asset under management fee, typically plus or minus 0.5% of the total amount they're managing for you. Similar to planners, financial advisors may also offer other services that are at a flat fee, a retainer, or even hourly services. Let's talk pros and cons. The benefits of financial advisors are you get professional portfolio management. Now, there are a lot of philosophies out there on whether or not a professional managing your portfolio can do better than you or can do better than an index, but that's for you to decide. If they added no value, they wouldn't exist. Another benefit is professionals often have access to market insights and ongoing investment strategy, so they want to do well. They want to do well for your money. Now, some downsides. Some financial advisors, like I mentioned earlier, might be incentivized to sell you certain investment products. A good example of this is if you choose to get a financial advisor through a bank. A lot of people who've never had an advisor before, typically, if they come across some money, will get approached by their own bank and they'll be like, hey, we noticed that you got a big deposit and you got money now, and we want to offer our financial advisory services to you. Now, I'm not saying this is necessarily bad. People have their own views on this type of financial advisor, but what I want you to know is that if they're going to help you manage your money, they'll be selling you the bank's products, right? There could be stuff outside of that bank where there's a better account or a better investment that you can get somewhere else. But these folks would be incentivized to sell you products that their company allows them to. Another downside is that not all financial advisors are fiduciaries. They don't always have to act in your best interest, so you have to ask them if they are. Another downside is there's less of a focus on your behaviors with money, and also typically less of a focus on budgeting and your day-to-day money management unless they have those skill sets, because a lot of times working with financial advisors is a little bit more transactional and more about the investments. So some tips if you are looking for a financial advisor: ask them if they're a fiduciary, just so you know. You can look for credentials like the CFP certification, CFA, Chartered Financial Analyst, or others. And finally, specific to professionals who manage investments, you can check their background on BrokerCheck to make sure that they or their firms are registered properly. All right, we have 3 professions down, 2 more quick ones to cover, but real quick, if you are enjoying this video or if you're learning something, taking something out of it, please don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe if you're not already a regular viewer. As always, I appreciate all of you for all the support you always give me, and a simple like can help my channel grow so that I can keep giving back to you guys. All right, number 4, the next financial professional I want to talk about is a financial therapist. What do financial therapists do? Well, they help you explore the emotional and the psychological side of money, which in my opinion is something that a lot of people need even if they don't know it yet. If you have ever felt stuck with money, or anxious, or avoidant, or even ashamed, guilted about money, this is the kind of support that could make a difference for you. So there's an organization called the Financial Therapy Association, the FTA, and they say that their professionals who go through their program are dedicated to the integration of cognitive, emotional, behavioral, relational, and financial aspects of well-being. So as you can see, this is very different from financial planners and financial advisors. who tend to lean towards working on more of the numbers, the strategy, and the technical aspects of your money, whereas financial therapists really help individuals dig into their money beliefs, their patterns, their past experiences. In some cases, it's like having a mental health professional who specializes in financial stress and healing. If you find that money causes you a ton of stress and anxiety in your life, and maybe you've experienced financial trauma in the past, a financial therapist could be something to look into and explore to see if this is the type of professional that can help you. Similar to the other professions I've already mentioned in this video, financial therapists oftentimes also have overlap in other areas. Some financial therapists are mental health professionals, and financial therapy is something else that they offer to have more of an understanding and focus on money. Whereas some financial therapists actually come from a financial background, whether that's being a financial planner or an advisor who wants to learn how to also help individuals with this more behavioral side of finance. Financial therapists are best for anyone with some deep-seated money stress or trauma, for people who want to improve their relationship with money, for those who are working through major life transitions, think divorce, a big loss, or a big inheritance even. Doesn't always have to be something negative. What does it cost? Oftentimes, it can be billed like traditional therapy, which means $100 or a few $100s per session, but it truly varies based on the professional that you're working with. That's because, like I said earlier, some therapists overlap with other types of services as well. Some therapists might even offer sliding scales because they don't want to scare off people who can't afford, a few $100s an hour. So if this is something of interest to you, just do some digging and see what you can find. Let's talk pros and cons. Benefits of financial therapists. They help unpack emotional blocks when it comes to your money. They also support long-term behavior change. Trust me, money alone is not going to change your behaviors. Sometimes you need to be more proactive about your behaviors in general. Downsides. It's not a replacement for financial planning or investment advice unless your financial therapist also offers those services. And just like it's not a replacement for financial planning, it's also not a replacement for therapy. That is, unless your financial therapist also acts as a therapist as well and they have the proper credentials. Another downside is that it could be hard to find in some areas. It's a relatively new field, so if you've never heard of it, that's probably why. And another downside is that the credentials for it and the training can vary widely, so you really have to do your due diligence when you're figuring out whether or not you want to work with someone. Some tips: you can start your search through the Financial Therapy Association. They are a trusted organization that trains and certifies financial therapists. And you can also look for people that have dual credentials in mental health, financial coaching, or other areas as well. All right, let's bring it home with number 5. The last financial professional on the list that I want to talk about is a tax professional. So tax professionals like certified public accountants, enrolled agents, or tax preparers, they help you prepare and file your taxes accurately, and they can also help you take advantage of things like deductions, credits, and also help you with other tax strategies. So unlike a financial planner or a financial advisor, tax professionals specifically are more focused on your current and your past income and tax needs. They're making sure that right now you stay compliant with the IRS and that hopefully you can save some money along the way. When people think about hiring a tax professional, what they're typically thinking about is hiring a tax preparer to file taxes for the year. But something that I've learned the more wealth I've built is that tax professionals aren't just those people you go to once a year, or maybe you just forego seeing them altogether because you file your taxes on your own. What I've learned is that the more complex your financial life becomes and the more wealth you build, the more likely you might need to hire a tax professional, not just for filing your taxes, but also to help you with tax planning and tax strategies as well. Tax planning specifically is when you incorporate more proactive financial strategies, which are focused on legally, keyword legally minimizing your tax liabilities and maximizing your overall financial well-being. As you build wealth, when you proactively work to pay less taxes legally, What it does is you're freeing up more money, more in your pockets, more that you get to keep, and what you keep can be used and invested to build more wealth. In my opinion, I think tax professionals are probably the one type of professional on this list in this video that I think every single person who wants to build wealth is going to need at one point or another. Honestly, I even think that is more important than an investment advisor. Because I think even if you're pretty savvy with taxes and strategizing, it truly gets harder to keep up with all of the changing rules, all of the changing policies year after year, especially as your financial life becomes more complex. So hiring a tax professional is best for anyone with a complex tax situation. Think self-employment, rental property, business income, multiple sources of income, multiple dependents, etc. It's also great for people who want to optimize their tax return or plan ahead for the next year or even the next couple of years. The cost can range a ton, and I know I've said that throughout this video, but bear with me because that's just the reality. Simple tax preparation can be a few $100s. Complex tax returns or year-round tax planning can be more than that, anywhere between $500 to a couple $1,000s or more, and it really just depends on how complex your finances are. Pros and cons. Benefits with hiring a tax professional is you get expert help with compliance, staying compliant with the IRS, and with deductions, things that might potentially bring down your tax liability. In many cases, it pays for itself if you're able to save a ton of money in taxes, even if you have to pay a professional. A lot of times it offsets or you save money. Another benefit is a professional can help you avoid mistakes, which means it can help prevent audits, which can just make your life a whole lot easier. And it's also very beneficial for small business owners, side hustlers, or anyone whose financial life and tax life is not super simple. Downsides. Like I said, a lot of times tax professionals are focused on the past, helping you clear up any past taxes that you owe, as well as figuring out your current situation. And oftentimes they don't help with your future goals unless you find tax planning professionals who can help you with that. Another downside is that not all of them offer proactive advice or tips or guidance unless you ask. If you are interested in looking for a tax professional, some tips are to look for CPAs, certified public accountants, or EAs, enrolled agents. These are actually people who the IRS recognizes as having a higher level of expertise, and should you ever have to get audited or have to represent yourself in front of the IRS, someone like an enrolled agent can represent you and speak on your behalf. All right, there's the list. I hope this was helpful. If you're thinking about looking for a financial professional in any of these areas of finance, let me know in the comments because I would love to hear from you. Until next time, peace out.